What is going on, nation? Beyond the Box here again on Monday night after week 1 of Detroit Lions football. What is good, Eric Vincent?
What's going on, man? How's your weekend been?
The weekend itself was good.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I can complain about. I don't even know what I did, to be honest with you. I watched Michigan football. And the delay. I don't remember what I did Saturday. I seriously am blanking on what I did this weekend.
That's how
Other
Lions
than
football does to you. You sorry
apparently,
you
man.
enjoy so much of
Holy
it, you
cow!
forget it all after a loss.
I
That's how
I
it
feel
goes.
like it was something that whatever. It's not even worth wasting people's times at this point.
Let's just do
Now
it.
you, on the other hand, your voice is struggling a bit. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I was at Ford Field. I was there at the game, so I had to rally in with Ford Field with the crowd and One Pride, and but I'm battling through. I ain't got no Kool-Aid today. I'm trying to soothe it with water, so I'm gonna get it back on board by the end of the show.
That is probably a good idea
Yeah.
because listen. It was a good game, and we're gonna get into the recap. We want to obviously talk about JJ McCarthy as well. We got a little hoorah and who cares. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind you to make sure you toss your comments into the chat wherever you're at, whether that's
Do
YouTube,
that.
Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media you're on. Make sure you're liking Detroit Sports Nation, following, subscribing to it. Click those bells for notifications so you can get the latest content from us. And make sure you're here every Monday night for Beyond the Box at 7 p.m. Here's the deal. The Lions lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35.
As you predicted.
As I predicted. I
Yep.
told you they were going to.
You were on the right end. Yep.
I told you that they were going to probably lose this game because Philadelphia was a good team, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody saw that as a cupcake game. Something just didn't sit right about that being a cupcake game, especially
No.
when you got a team that was 9-8 last year, went to the playoffs. They're returning, their main, piece. They were talking a lot in the broadcast, and you obviously didn't hear it because you were at Ford Field. But
Right.
in the last a few weeks of the season last year, the Eagles turned into a run heavy team, which
Yep.
clearly they were on Sunday as well. That's like their identity, right? Is a run first team. And that showed. And they only got better in that aspect in the sense that Miles Sanders, who was forgotten about for a long time, played a great game. Jalen Hurts adds another dynamic. And let's not forget now, they traded for A.J. Brown, who we saw an immense amount of on Sunday, which makes their running game better because
Yes.
you have to play honest defense.
Exactly.
When you have Jalen Rieger, right, or A.J. Brown, it's a little bit easier to stack the box against a wideout like Jalen Rieger than it is A.J. Brown. And
Exactly.
the Lions got a taste of that on Sunday. So I'm going to take it from your perspective first, right? I want to hear, just go. You were there, standing room only game, first sellout in a long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because of all of the hype.
Yes.
Give me the experience firsthand.
Oh man, it showed too. Shout out to all the fans that were there. It was heavy. A lot of Eagles fans. There's a lot of trash talking back and forth. It was a lot of energy, especially
Some
to open up the
fights. I
game.
saw some fights.
Man, I didn't see the fight until I got home. I went on my phone and
I'm
saw
just
them
glad you
wilding
weren't
outside
a
the
part of the
building.
fight,
Oh
actually.
yeah, you ain't gonna see me out there. I ain't playing no hero for that. But yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly again. It's the typical Lions game. It started off so optimistic and so great with the opening touchdown, and then outside of that, it was just nasty. I mean, you spoke on Miles Sanders, you spoke on the run game and how effective it was. A lot of that came too. It felt like on third down, when the Lions needed to make a play, they couldn't get off the field. I think they let up 10 of 17 on third down to the Eagles. They also got 2 or 3 fourth down conversions. Couldn't get off the field when Jalen Hurts was scrambling, and that killed them throughout the way. I think Hurts and Sanders combined for 180 yards or over 180 yards of rushing together, and it was horrible watching them. They were very, very over aggressive on defense, weren't very disciplined in keeping them in the pocket, and that was a big problem and what couldn't keep them alive. So it was a tough game, but I mean, it was a lot of good things to take away from it, but it was sad being in the building at the end of it. It really was.
Yeah, especially because listen, like watching on TV obviously is a different experience entirely
Yeah,
than watching, from Ford Field. Like
for sure.
no doubt about that. It's completely different, right? I don't know if I would have wanted to be there, to be honest with you. I'm not that guy. I'm not a stadiums guy, right?
Hmm.
You could obviously probably tell about me, right? The swagless AJ Reilly over
Of
here.
course. Yeah.
But you could sense, like, as the offense went, so the crowd momentum went.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because,
Hmm.
coming into the season, you don't expect much from this defense at all, actually. Maybe a few bright spots with, Hutchinson, who we'll get to, by the way, Detroit Lions fans,
Yep.
and Malcolm Rodriguez, who was phenomenal in his debut.
Rodrigo.
Um, yeah, but as the offense, I mean, the offense comes out, first drive, 75 yards, 4 minutes, 45 seconds off the clock. Nice mix of run and pass. You got the huge run by DeAndre Swift, which kind of like set the tone of how it could go. And then the next drive's 3 and out.
Hmm.
And then the next drive, there's a drop pass and it's 3 and out. And then you could just kind of sense it's hard for the crowd to get back into the game trying to will a defense when you've just given up a touchdown and then threw a pick six on the ensuing drive 2 plays later,
Hmm.
and that's deflating. And one of the great things about Ford Field is that built-in home field advantage that is very loud for opposing teams.
Some of the Eagles were talking about it. They said they couldn't hear anything. Jalen Hurts said it was hard to communicate, and they said the crowd of noise had a big impact on everything that was happening. But it sucked. It sucked to waste some of the performances that they saw. I mean, DeAndre Swift had the game of his
For
life,
sure.
but the offense, like you said it. I wasn't expecting the defense to have some lockdown game, but the offense was just very disappointing. I don't know if you can see it on the TV, but Jared Goff had at least 3 or 4 passes in the first half, especially on third down, where he was literally trying to throw to a receiver
Mhm.
that didn't even have his head looking for him yet.
Yeah.
It looked like he was still in the first steps of his break and his
Yep.
route. And, Goff was not even on I'm getting rushed type thing. It was okay, I'm throwing it to you, and there's a clear miscommunication. Amon-Ra had a big drop. DJ Shark wasn't really sharp at all in the first half. Like, he was just all over the place. And then Hawk kind of comes and goes. I get annoyed with him sometimes. He had a really good start with a good third down conversion in the
Yeah. That
first
was a
half, but
great conversion.
he just disappears a lot. That kind of annoys me. So it's gonna be annoying watching this offense this season. I can feel it already.
So as we continue to break down this week one, I want to remind everybody that's watching, first of all, thank you for tuning in, but throw your chats and comments and questions and thoughts about week one against the Philadelphia Eagles into the chat. Eric and I would love to interact with you that way.
We can't be the only ones who being emotional
We
this weekend.
no,
Talk to us, please.
no, it was disappointing. Like, listen, I don't want to be doom and gloom. Okay. I refuse to be that guy. I'm also not going to be the Kool-Aid drinker. Okay, I'm gonna walk that fine line. Yeah, I'm kind of pointing to you, Eric, the pouring out after Hard Knocks episode 1. It's water tonight. I get
All
that, but
water, I
like,
promise today.
listen,
Yes.
I was ready. I was ready to beat the Eagles week 1 and join you in pouring blue Kool-Aid tonight. But I just can't do it. And the reason why is I look at, you know, this team. We said throughout Hard Knocks, right? The number one thing about this team is grit, and they showed that. So
Yep.
that's a win. But I'm not a moral victory kind of guy.
No. The
Okay,
hell with that.
you're never going to hear me say, "Well, here's a trophy for trying hard," because I don't. That's not what wins you football games.
Mm-hmm.
Grit is good,
Yes.
but wins matter, right?
Yep.
Because grit gets you close enough, it just doesn't get you there.
Yes.
And so that's where we're at right now with this team. Preach all the grit you want. I love it. I love the, bootstraps pulling up and going to work and doing those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love that message. But now I need it to go beyond that message.
Yes.
Because if it doesn't, then we're going to get these, oh shucks, close but not just there type of results. And look, at the end of the day, right? Jared Goff was not good Sunday. And
Mm-mm.
James Williams agrees with me. They need another quarterback. Now, I'm not going that
Yes.
far, James, okay? I'm not going to say that they need another quarterback, but the success of this season is going to be dependent upon the right of Jared Goff. And he was not helped out, okay? There was a huge third down play where he threw a beautiful ball to Josh Reynolds on a crossing route that hit him in the hands that he dropped. The
Yep.
very next play, Goff fumbled the shotgun snap and got sacked.
Yep.
Those things kill drives, and good teams don't make those mistakes.
Yep.
So I need them to take that next step, and that's where I came away week 1. The biggest thing for me, though, and this is probably going to catch some people off guard, I think Dan Campbell lost them this game.
I'm so happy you just said that.
Dan
I'm so
Campbell
happy you
lost
just
them this
said that.
game.
Yes.
And I don't want to make a big deal about an onside kick, but I'm going to freaking make a big deal about an onside kick.
You should. No,
because
you need to.
Here's my thinking, okay? You have not done anything for about 18, 20 minutes of game time, at least a quarter and a half. You go and score, get yourself within 10, 31-21 after Amon-Ra St. Brown's touchdown, which was a beautiful designed route, which Ben Johnson deserves all the credit in the world. Okay? That was not the spot for a surprise onside kick.
No.
And even had they converted it, I would have still said it's better to be lucky than good, because that was not the moment. You had literally just gotten back to the point where you were in a ball game.
Yes.
And you gave the Eagles half the field to work with.
I'm so happy you just said that, because we talk about what we love about Dan Campbell. We heard about it all offseason. We heard about how exciting he is. We love the rah-rah speeches and all that. Here's the other part of coaching where we need to prove who he really is, because we just talked about Ben Johnson and the awesome game he called. I love the creativity he put in the offensive line and some of the designs we put. But back to Dan Campbell, the rah-rah stuff is cool, but the X's and O's is really where we're going to decide and understand of who you are. And for whatever reason, the NFL, everyone's getting gutsier and gutsier for no reason. Like, I just saw the Giants skate off on a lucky win against the Titans because the Titans, I think, went for it. Oh, no, it was the Giants that went for it on fourth down when they didn't need to, when they got the conversion. All these gutsy plays, like these early onside kicks and these fourth downs where you don't need to go for it, that, especially when you're trying to establish momentum, that kills a team when they're trying to come back. And that absolutely killed it. Everybody in the crowd that I was sitting next to said the same thing. Even if they would have got that onside kick, that wasn't necessary. Make them drive and play from a long field run. Like, you don't give them that easy short range. That killed them doing that.
It did kill them. Now, I'm not as upset about the fourth down stuff, especially when you're in plus territory. Listen, if you're at the opponent's 45, okay, and it's 4th and 1, analytically, data-driven decisions, it's more beneficial to go for that than it is to actually punt. Because if you punt and kick a touchback, you're only giving up 25 yards of field position. So it's not even really that significant to not go for it. However, and here's the thing, I'm also not a big opponent of surprised onside kicks, just not in that moment.
No.
If you go, and here's the thing, right? The defense, for as bad as they played, they were not good. I mean, you could run Mack trucks through the running lanes for the Philadelphia Eagles. They were not good.
So many missed tackles.
But you know what, Eric? For the last 20 minutes of game time, and I went back and I watched the game 2 more times after it aired. From about 4 minutes and 45 seconds left in the third quarter all the way through the fourth quarter, Philadelphia didn't score. And they possessed the ball like 3 times at least.
Yep.
So the defense stepped up when it needed to. My initial contention is, okay, save that surprise onside kick for when you're 28-31.
Exactly. You
got all the momentum on your side at that time. You haven't just brought it back and then wished it away. You've now got, like, pick and choose your spots, and they did not pick and choose their spots on that one. Let's talk about our rookies.
Let's do it.
Because one's getting a lot of love. One's getting a lot of hate. As he shouldn't, by the way.
Talk about it.
So, I don't know if you pay attention to Lions Twitter at all.
Of course, of course.
People reacting, because they want the Lions to win. Listen, everybody wants the Lions to win. Did Aiden Hutchinson to you play a good game, yes or no?
He didn't play a good game, but he didn't play a bad game. He was mid. He was mid. He didn't have. There were a lot of plays where you saw him a little too over aggressive, where you're playing against quarterbacks like Mason Rudolph in preseason, or whoever else that's not mobile. You can get home and be aggressive. When you're playing against Jalen Hurts, you have to be a little bit more disciplined, and he kind of struggled with that. And you kind of talked about it before, even before we started recording. You said that, look, the sacks may not be where you want them to be, but if it's providing pressure and it's providing a push on the defensive line of the trenches that controls the run game, then that's where it's being helpful. And you saw that. They just weren't wrapping up. They were getting home and putting pressure in front of Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts. They just couldn't wrap him up. So I don't think he had a bad game, but he wasn't good. I give him like a C minus, C plus grade, honestly.
I think he actually played a little bit better than people expect. Like, he got to, I mean, he made Hurts escape the pocket. Him and other edge defenders. But again, the lanes were too wide open for the escapability. I mean, the into the third quarter, the Philadelphia Eagles did not go 3 and out. All the way into the third quarter. Which is crazy.
That's tough. Yep.
Because of he rushed for 90 yards. He threw for, I think, 284. Against a mobile quarterback like that, it's not the sack numbers that matter. It's the impact that you have making plays and keeping containment. Now, here's the deal, right? Well, I'm going to throw up on this on the banner down below. It's a huge thing to read. But here's the deal. Aiden Hutchinson, in his NFL debut, was graded as 120th out of 121st in pass rush for edge defenders by Pro Football Focus. PFF. His run grade, however, was a solid 25th. His overall grade among edge defenders was 82nd out of 124 graded. What do you take from that? That's a C+ game, like you said.
Exactly.
It's not the worst, but it was definitely not the best.
Absolutely. I feel like just like Charles said, like people put him a bit on a pedestal. We want to see the splash plays. We want to see Billy G. That's what we were waiting for, and it didn't come. So, like, I understand like the hype and the excitement that we had for Aiden Hutchinson, but the team impact on the defensive line is going to be more. It's going to be more impactful, at least for his rookie year. As he trends forward, we're going to maybe want to see the sack total go up, but for right now, that's pretty much what I expected. Again, I would give him a C. I would go above and beyond from that. I saw a lot of people on Lions Twitter freaking out. Braylon Edwards had a comment about, "Oh, are you discouraged?" Like, bro, like,
what a ridiculous
game. It's his first game.
Look,
like, chill.
Media talking head trying to get a reaction out of fans, right? I get it, right? That's all that was, because there's no way that even Braylon Edwards, who, do we want to talk about his NFL career? Probably not. Is going to throw that out there for Aiden Hutchinson, right? Yeah. So, if that's the case, like, this is game 1. We've said preseason, it doesn't count. This is game 1 against a very mobile quarterback, and arguably maybe the best mobile quarterback in the NFL.
Maybe. It's probably the most mobile quarterback he's going to see moving forward. Look at this.
I'd take him over Kyler Murray today.
Oh, 100%.
And it would be a very close toss-up between taking Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, people will call that a hot take, but I'm with you. And even if you look at their schedule, like, they got Carson Wentz next week. I think Kirk Cousins after that. The Seahawks, they don't have a mobile quarterback list. It's Geno Smith. Like, that's probably the most dangerous he's going to see in the near future. So I think he's going to be able to adjust and learn from that. But I think we'll see a lot more splash plays and big impact from Hutch. But yeah, he deserved, what he got. Rodrigo was another one of the rookies we were talking about. Yep. And we all saw him come through with the cowboy outfit. He hyped it up during Hard Knocks. We saw it, before. He was fantastic. He was all over the place. We saw him in run support. We saw him clog up lanes. We saw him even give some assistance with Anzalone in the pass. He was all over the place. I would give him an A on his performance. What would you give him?
Well, he was the highest graded defensive player for the Lions, according to PFF. I would give him
right.
But here's the thing that goes into these grades, right? Like, not everything is accounted for in these grades. Because Rodrigo wasn't perfect.
No.
He made a few mistakes down near the goal line where he got caught out of position as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be growing pains, but what you can take from these two guys is there's a future, and there's a pretty darn good future
Mm-hmm.
if these guys become solid cores of your defense. Because Hutch was active.
Yes.
It's not like he got blown around and blown out and dominated. Like,
Right.
he was active. He just couldn't get the hurts because newsflash, nobody got the hurts.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
It's mobile.
it's like, if we're gonna blame Hutch, blame everybody because
Yes.
nobody got there.
Yes.
So I liked what I saw. Does what you saw in week 1, and this is where we're gonna wrap up Lions talk and move on. But does what you saw in week 1 change your outlook for this team moving forward?
Slightly. I picked 8 games that they could win this season. I'm gonna tinker it down to 7 for now, just because I'm scared of the rookie mistakes and the young mistakes this team's going to make. Even from the coaching staff, they're still in a position where they're kind of just
Yeah.
trying things. They still don't have Jameson Williams, who's going to be a huge plug into this offense. They're still missing a lot of pieces that they need to really, solidify themselves. And for me, like I said, it's not dropping them down a lot. I still think they're going to be like, a sub 500 team, but it's just going to be about how they ride the wave. I don't want to see them start off losing 7 straight and then winning 8 to close the season. I want to see them build some kind of continuity, but it doesn't waver too much, honestly.
Now I'm trying to remember. I originally had them at like 8 wins as well. And then when we put out our final DSM predictions, which was written by WG Brady,
Mm-hmm.
we I put them at 6-11.
Mm-hmm.
I took the under from Vegas, and look, doubling your win total from last year is an improvement. And this team has improved. There's no way I can look at week 1 last year and week 1 this year and be like, same team, because it's not. It's not at all. There were flashes of, maybe some traumatic experiences from the past where you have an offense that goes silent for a quarter and a half or whatever, right? But
Mm-hmm.
this is not the same team. And the fact that they were able to come down from 15 and get within a score
Yep.
with potential to stop that final drive and get the ball back.
That's how they reel us back in. It could have been just a beatdown, but they had to make it a cardiac cat comeback.
They had
to happen
right?
that way.
So in that sense, I guess you could say SOL, but we're not going to.
We're not
going to because I would expect there to be things that are cleaned up. I don't expect Chark and Reynolds and St. Brown to have the drops that they had in those moments moving forward. And that was a pretty good defense they were playing against too, that they carved up.
Yep.
I mean, you wrote about it in your 3 players that must rise up. We wrote about it in our prediction. Like, this is not a like cupcake defense that they were running through.
No.
And they slashed them. Career high numbers for DeAndre Swift, who, if he stays healthy, may be the most electric back in the NFL this season.
He looked fantastic.
I can't remember the last time I've seen a Lions running back look that good week 1.
I wish I had some Kool-Aid now just for DeAndre Swift alone.
Right? Like, good old 32. Here we come talking from Hard Knocks where he's just like, all mopey. I don't say nothing at all, right? Like, I'm not invested, don't care. And then it's like, boom, shot out of a cannon and just crazy. Maximilian's a little upset that he agrees with you. I don't know what he necessarily agrees with you on.
Good cop
but
today.
He's
Let's
a little
go.
upset. He's a little upset that he agrees with you. We don't have it in our show notes, but before we move on to the next topic and talking about the quarterback situation, because that was what we wanted to talk about with the Lions.
Yep.
I just want to let you know who the top scorer in our fantasy league was this week?
Who was it, so the Lions quarterback situation.
Who was it, Eric? Who was it? Was it Slim Pickens? It was Slim Pickens. It was my team with 123 points, which outscored everybody by at least, I think, 10, if I remember correctly. And Did you win?
I took my L thanks to an
Oh.
eagle I played. Devontae Smith couldn't get off Okuda Island and couldn't get a single catch in this game. So I had to suffer the wrath of Jeff Okuda. He clearly saw my video going off over the news desk. So, shout out to him in that regard.
Well, you might recognize the last name on this one, but
What?
my little brother
What? You got, what is
wishes
this
that I
home
don't.
field advantage?
He's
What
telling
is
me,
this?
he's saying he hopes I don't win another game.
Oh, he's talking to you. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
he's talking to
Okay.
me.
All
Oh,
right,
yeah.
cool.
Well, yeah, you can't win another game until you've won one game, Eric. So
Wow.
he's he's
I'm not
talking to
taking
me.
this. I'm not taking this from you. This is not happening.
Hey,
It's
you
okay.
set it up, man.
It's
You
okay.
absolutely set it up. But okay, we want to talk about the Lions quarterback situation just real quick, and that's going to move us into another quarterback situation, which is Michigan football. So, look, I said it before. I'll say it again. Jared Goff was not good yesterday. He
Mhm.
he played better as the game went on, but he was not great in the first half. There were drops, but a lot of those drops were outside the body catches that were not accurate. Where do the Lions go? Is Jared Goff like the future?
No. I think that's been established. I feel like if you were to have a bridge quarterback, I think he's a safe one to have. He's not terrible. Again, he's mid, and that's fine. But in terms of the future, you're gonna need to look in different directions soon. And there's a lot of people requesting a lot of different names. Even Bryce Young, yep, that's another good mention. A lot of people were talking about him in the crowd. I have my own guy that I want.
And
Somebody that
who
I
is
think
it?
fits the Detroit team perfectly. I think the Lions have, I don't want to say tanked perfectly to get this man, but
Matt
he's in a
Stafford?
position where he wants out now, I believe. And I think the Detroit Lions need to go all in on Lamar Jackson to bring him to Detroit as soon as next season. I said it and I made it. I feel like the Lions are the most suiting team to land him. I know it's going to be expensive based on the money he's turned down, according to reports, but I think he is perfect for this team. He
Wow.
has a defense that's going to grow and get him short field and extra possessions. He has a running game that complements him perfectly. He has a young offensive line that can block for him and put him in positions to space out and run. And because the Ravens don't seem to know what this is, he has receivers that can get open and catch passes that they don't seem to invest in with the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson is a perfect fit here in Detroit, and I would love to see it happen.
I'm shocked.
Really?
I no, I'm not.
What,
Listen,
what are
that
you
wasn't a
shocked about?
like I knew the name was out there, and because he hadn't signed an extension yet, and they're not going to start talking about it till after the season.
Which is crazy to me, but yeah.
I'm I'm shocked for this reason. I'm not massively impressed with Lamar Jackson. Okay, I love the athlete that he is, and I think he's a phenomenal football player.
Okay.
I very much question his ability to command an offense if he's forced to throw the ball. I mean, he had a few good touchdown tosses to Duvernay on Sunday. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying could be totally wrong. But as you were talking, I'm sitting there thinking, DeAndre Swift, Lamar Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
offensive line, Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it.
Come on, man. Come on. It's there.
Oh my gosh!
It makes
Now,
sense,
oh
bro.
my goodness!
Even if you look at the landscape of the league, like it's not a ton of teams that I think could really go all in to get him. Like I don't. It's nuts the Ravens have not paid him yet, but with the
It
team
is
set
nuts.
up, he is perfect for this team. He will be a perfect fill-in for baby heads right now. Like I think
Uh,
we need him. I really do.
oh my gosh!
He has
I
TJ Hawkinson. He loves his tight ends.
No, he
Like,
doesn't. No, he
does he?
doesn't. Actually, if you look, so statistically, and this is a mistake that I made in one of my other fantasy leagues. If you look statistically, Mark Andrews moved from like that second place to the first place when Lamar Jackson was out last year. And then yesterday, he only had like 5
Second to
targets.
first.
What?
Second to first. That's one spot, man. Come on.
But that, I mean, that I wouldn't have drafted him in the first round at 11 if he wasn't,
I
that
mean, but still, that shows he still has high value
he has
regardless.
high value, but I'm just saying, I think that Lamar needs the wide receiver complement more than he relies on his tight end.
I totally agree, but
So,
I mean, yeah,
but
see,
Hawkinson also has to get signed. I just
true, that's true.
okay. Here's my devil's advocate.
Okay,
You're building a culture in Detroit. Does Lamar Jackson fit that culture?
yes, yes, he doesn't start no trouble.
I agree with that. I
He's
don't think that he starts trouble, and I want to
he's
be very clear about that.
yeah,
But like the holding out, the contract extensions, like I understand you. Again, it's devil's advocate. So I'm
yeah. I
just
know. I
thinking
got
of
you. I
theories
got
here
you. I
as
got
to
you.
why this wouldn't be a good idea. More so I can try to talk myself out of actually thinking this is a good idea.
I get it. Yeah, I don't want to get people
Because
too sucked in.
now I'm gonna go back and watch the Baltimore Ravens game yesterday and
Hmm.
watch how he played as a quarter. Because I know, I mean, listen, you cannot teach speed. You
No.
cannot teach athleticism like that. Can he come off a 1-2 progression and get to the third progression if he needs to as a quarterback? Can he make that deep 10-yard, 15-yard out throw accurately? I
Hmm.
know he can throw a great deep ball. I've seen him throw great deep balls. Can he do what's necessary to actually move a team when he I don't hate it.
I
I
love it.
don't hate it.
I know you don't hate it. You're trying
And
to be passive. I'm not with. I get it. I get it.
I actually like it more than a college prospect, even though you
Hmm.
are going to have to pay for him.
Yeah.
But I just am concerned about are are there so many holes on this roster that giving up the type of draft capital that it's going to cost to acquire him
Yep.
would actually not benefit the team itself? You know what I'm saying?
I get you.
Because you
Yep.
still have holes and you still have to replace those holes
Hmm.
to make a roster suitable for a good enough quarterback to come in and take you where you want to go.
Yep.
The draft capital cost, I mean, you're talking at least the Rams pick from for next year,
Yep.
probably a second, a third, and future, third and fourth.
Yep.
You're talking about a significant chunk of draft capital to acquire him.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
just
like it. I like it more than Bryce Young or CJ Stroud because
me too.
I don't actually like either of them for the Lions next year.
Really?
Mm.
Okay. I want to answer your question. Then I want you to give me your guy because you
Bryce
asked.
Bryce more than CJ. But
Okay.
I'll go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say because you talk about the culture fit. I do still think he's perfect because the culture that's being established, at least because think about where he is with Baltimore. John Harbaugh,
Yeah.
very player friendly coach.
Yeah, for
Same
sure.
with the whole staff, and
Yeah,
I think that fits literally right here in Detroit. You have quarterbacks. Yeah,
no
excuse me, you
doubt.
have the roster team. You have played. You have people around him that fit with what he was, especially with Dan Campbell as a head coach. And I think those holes I feel like the Lions have done a good job addressing the trenches. They're building the D line. The
Mhm.
O line is very, very strong right now.
Very
And I
good.
think the outside pieces and the athletic pieces fit him. Those
Yeah,
aren't really any holes. The holes that they still need to fix are going to be adding maybe another D lineman, some
golly.
secondary help. Like you can kind of afford to maneuver around that if you have to give up draft capital. But I really
You're
want to know who would your guy be? Who would, if it wasn't any of those three, who would you go for?
Well, now I don't know. Like, I'm so shook by the fact that I actually am starting to agree with you because now I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Jameson Williams on the outside. DJ Chark if he were
Woo.
to re-sign on the outside with the Monera in
Yes,
the slot, and then, like,
filthy.
that's formidable."
Put DeAndre
Like,
Swift in the slot. Come on, man. Come on. That's filthy.
honestly, I'm not even gonna give you a name because any name that I give you at this point is just gonna be terrible. I'm just gonna tell you, and we can talk about this for a second, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
I'm not sold on CJ Stroud, and I'm not sold on Bryce Young. So
Okay.
I'm all for drafting a rookie quarterback next year if we have a high enough draft place and use the value appropriately.
Right.
But man, I don't know. I I'm not doing it. I'm not falling into that trap of giving you a name that's gonna get, just ruthlessly destroyed in comments because I can't come up with a better one. And you've almost convinced me. I'm not there yet. Maybe you should write an editorial this week for me to convince me even further.
I've been waiting to push this agenda. I'm so
Okay,
ready to
perfect.
do it. Let's
So,
go.
yeah, that's fine with me, just as long as it's not CJ Stroud. Specifically CJ Stroud. Bryce Young, I'd be more okay
I
with
like
after
Bryce Young.
watching what he did against
Yeah,
Texas
I like Bryce Young.
on Saturday, excuse me. Not CJ Stroud, because
I'm
CJ
with that.
Stroud, he can spin it, but I haven't seen an Ohio State quarterback come into the league and actually do things. So,
Yep, it doesn't come up often.
no. And
I
you
understand
know,
what you mean.
there you go.
Can we get a week without talking about Baker beef? Come on, man. Stop, Ricky. Stop, bro. Leave us alone.
I mean, I would have traded for him I would have traded for him when he was available.
Traded what? Trade old sock? What would you trade for?
Yes, because the
Okay,
value
fine.
wasn't high. I
Cool.
woun't have
No
given
problem.
away.
Cool. As long
No,
as it's
I
not
wouldn't have
real
given
football
away a ton,
capital.
but bring him in, see what he's got, and man, yeah. Okay, let's move to like an actual quarterback that plays for one of our teams, not necessarily your team because you hate Jim Harbaugh and his Bible quotes, but
Facts. As long as we got that
JJ
into it.
McCarthy started for the Michigan Wolverines on Saturday night, and JJ McCarthy will be starting for the Michigan Wolverines in perpetuity
Mhm.
because JJ McCarthy's pretty good at football.
Baller.
And man, the kid's growing on me. When he was getting recruited and a few years ago, I was not very high on him. Freak athlete, I get it, but I just thought the attitude, I didn't like it. It just seemed like a high school kid on TikTok, really cocky. But he's growing on me. He's stuck around. He's been in the program. He bided his time with Cade last year, and Cade did what he did. What he did Saturday night, I don't want to overblow. I don't.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
going to even overreact to it because it was Hawaii. And
Right.
it was basically like playing Ann Arbor Pioneer right across the street. It might have even been worse than playing Ann Arbor Pioneer right across the street because they were essentially a high school team.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to overreact. But some of the things that he did were wow.
Mm-hmm. You
Were
started
wow.
to see that potential thing where they talk about, oh, Cade is safe, he'll move the chains, he'll make the right throws, and maybe there's some potential and some upside that McCarthy has. We saw all of it, even if it was against Hawaii. We saw all of it.
But Ricky is right. They treated Cade like
Hey,
garbage, and I don't
and
like it.
Ann Arbor,
But
that
here's
was
the
disappointing to see.
here's the thing,
That was
okay?
yeah.
And there have been some conspiracy theories, right? Like this was the plan all along because you're starting Cade against Colorado State and you're starting JJ against probably the worst defense in college football.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like he was going to perform, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was the Jim's playing 6D chess was what one of my buddies said. No,
No,
but you have to absolutely feel terrible for Cade McNamara
I do a
because
little
he
bit.
didn't necessarily do anything wrong.
Mm-mm.
But when he came out against Colorado State and struggled to complete a pass in the first drive, and then JJ comes out against Hawaii and just rips a million-yard touchdown pass where a guy's wide open, like the energy on the offense when they had the ball, just you could feel it, and you can't properly analyze feeling, right? You can't
Right.
quantify it,
Mm-hmm.
but you just know when it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And when JJ took the field, it was just there. I don't that's terrible analysis. And if you're tuning in for great analysis, I apologize, but you watch that game and you're like, "Oh, something's different. There's
Yeah.
something different."
When you're playing against a team, like even when players playing like preseason action, like when Hutch played, I wanted to see him rush a quarterback. I wanted to see him give run support. Like I wanted to. You don't have to show that you're a star early. Just show that you can do it. And JJ did that a lot against Hawaii. He showed that he could throw on the run. He showed that he could throw off script. He showed that he could help impact the run
Yeah.
game. He showed that he could basically do everything that Cade can't do. And if not can't do, doesn't do as well as him from what we've seen thus far.
That's the key.
Yeah,
It's not that I don't think Cade can't do it.
right,
Is that he hasn't done it
like
so
that.
far,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that pass that JJ made off schedule, stepped up in the pocket, rolled to the left, dot
Beautiful, beautiful.
to Cornelius Johnson in the end zone.
Mhm.
Incredible.
Yep.
Like we're talking like how many NFL quarterbacks make that throw?
Ooh, look at you. Get you
You
some
know,
Kool-Aid
like
now. Look at
again,
you, Simon.
not
Oh,
not trying to overreact, and I know
right.
that that's a huge, huge, huge
Huge
overreaction,
leap, big leap.
but that was a big time throw.
It
Like that's a
was.
Sunday throw.
It was. It was. And again, we didn't expect that. We kind of expected a little bit of the same. Even against a team like Hawaii, I wasn't expecting JJ to blow him out of the water, but he made all the throws that you wanted to see. You saw the big play potential. You saw him really step in and show that he can take this offense to a different dive. He didn't lean on one receiver. He didn't just zero in on one guy. He was spreading it around. He was extremely impressive, especially with the nerves. It had to have been some kind of like jitters stepping in, knowing that you could,
He
you
didn't look
know,
like it though.
no, not at all. He played his behind off. Shout out to him.
He
That was an awesome
yeah,
performance.
like shout out to him for sure. But Ricky brings up the point that I want to make. And it's this, and it's the same thing that we talked. And I don't know if we talked about it last week or not, but I've had this conversation in the past week. The hype that surrounds him is almost the same thing I feel about the hype that was surrounding the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that you have all this hype, and if you do not live up to it, unmet expectations are the seatbed of disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
So, can he do it against Ohio State? I don't think he goes 11 for 12 with his only incompletion being a drop and 220 something yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, I think he could actually have a better stat line, like as
Right.
far as like more yards, maybe potentially more touchdowns. But there will also be mistakes against a better defense, and
Yeah.
that concerns me a little bit because with Cade, you know what you're getting.
Right.
You know that you're getting, the check down when necessary, the play it safe with the ball, keep it safe, which is the name of the game, right? You don't want turnovers, but something different with JJ, man. It's just
I
something
just
different entirely.
this is something that bothers me. It worries me though, because while he does look great, and yes, Ricky, you're right. Ohio State is going to be the ultimate barometer to see if he's really going to be that guy. But I'm nervous to see if he struggles against a Wisconsin, if he struggles against an Iowa, and is
And
Coach
Iowa's
Solomon
on
or
the road at night too, which is
right?
not a good
Exactly.
place that
Right.
Michigan has
So
been
so
previously.
is Coach climbing trees, Coach Solomon, is he gonna let him play through those issues, or are you gonna go back to Cade? Because he's shown that he's not scared to play 2-3 quarterbacks at one
Yeah.
time if he has to. It worked last year, but I don't think it's going to work full term. I really just don't think to build consistency with the offense, you're going to need him to work through that. He's a sophomore, he's a young player. He's going to need to go through his growing pains. Are you going to give him the ability to grow, or is he going to get yanked for Cade to be safe so they can get a win? It's just
I
it's a sticky predicament, man. I don't it's hard to trust, honestly.
so mhm. He's done it before. Harbaugh's done it before
Yep.
with Kaepernick and Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And when Kaepernick made mistakes, I don't remember him ripping him out and putting Alex Smith back in.
Yeah, he also didn't do the two quarterback system. Alex Smith got hurt and he realized, oh, wait, Smith is mid and Colin Kaepernick is a top 10 quarterback playing right now. So it was a pretty easy decision for him to do. I
Did
think this
Alex
is a
Smith
little
get
bit more
hurt?
different.
I don't
Yeah, he
remember.
got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt. That's
Look
why
here.
Kaepernick came in.
Okay. Well, for my narrative purposes,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just kidding. But I think to answer Ricky's question here too, I think you can go back to Cade if you need to at some point. Look, JJ is going to perform, and the only way that Cade is you have to go back to Cade is if JJ gets hurt, which with his running is always going to be a possibility. But that right there, I think, is the solace that Michigan's fans can rest in,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
If JJ goes down, oh, guess who's backing him up? Your Big Ten champion quarterback, right? So it's definitely one of those situations where you have just an immense amount of riches, and it's a good place to be if you're a Michigan Wolverine.
Kate, keep your head in it, man. We saw
For sure.
your
For
comments.
sure.
I understand this is probably hard for you. It was tough, probably hearing it from the crowd. Keep your head in it, man. Stand strong. Like
And
that was rough.
don't
Yeah.
forget, Cade, you're auditioning for
Yes. Yep.
the transfer portal, most
Absolutely.
likely, right?
Yep.
And there's plenty of teams, Notre Dame,
Mm-hmm.
which don't go to Notre Dame because then I got to root against you, and I actually like you. Iowa, who had a quarterback that went 6 for 12 with 92 yards, and their offense scored 1 touchdown last week. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Iowa's desperately in need of a quarterback. So, I mean, there's plenty of places to go in that situation that for Kate. So how you respond to this will depend on where you land if you choose to go into the transfer portal. So
Right.
it's going to be very interesting moving forward. They got Connecticut this week. JJ should get another tune-up game. No problem, right? Like, I mean, the way that Michigan crafts its schedule is like an NFL schedule with 3 preseason games, and then you get to
Yeah.
the meat of it.
Yeah.
Which, look, hey,
Very cushy for them.
hey, is what it is, right? I mean, you still got to beat the opponent in front of you. So
Exactly.
that's where that is. We want to get to our segment called Hoo-rah and Who Cares. But before we do that, Eric, we got 5 games to pick for the NFL, and then we'll end with Hoo-rah and Who Cares.
All right,
Last
let's do it.
week, Eric, we both picked Buffalo. I
Yep.
picked Philly. You picked Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
We both picked Cincinnati. We
Mm-hmm.
both picked KC. You picked Tampa Bay,
Yep.
and I picked Dallas. So we
Mm-hmm.
actually tied on the week last week.
So I really took a loss because I picked Tom Brady to win and then he did it. So take that mind. I don't even want that W. Take that off of
Well,
me.
you got it for accounting purposes. So here we got
Mm.
5 games. We're going to rip through them quick. We don't need a ton. Just give me your thoughts here. And we'll pick Detroit and Washington at the end. So first game, Thursday night, should be a fun one. Los
Oh,
Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm high on the Chargers. It's at LA if I'm not mistaken, right?
It is at Kansas City.
It's at Kansas City.
It is at Kansas City. It's at Arrowhead.
Okay. In that regard, then I'm gonna take the Chiefs. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs. They put a whooping on Arizona. I think they'll
They did.
play pretty well at home against the Chargers. I'll take the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the Chargers.
Oh,
I'm going to take the Chargers. I believe in
they
Justin
look
Herbert,
good.
and he's such a good quarterback. So I'm going to take the
Yeah.
Chargers. I don't know why I put them on the schedule again, but I guess I just like misery. Cincinnati against Dallas. Both teams 0-1, lost in week 1. And Dallas is without Dak Prescott.
So it's an easy call then, Cincinnati.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, Dallas may be in the market for Jimmy Garoppolo soon. I can't trust Dallas for anything.
Maybe.
Give me Cincinnati.
Sunday night football. Chicago Bears. The undefeated Chicago Bears, who beat San Francisco
Yep.
against the lowly 0-1 Green Bay Packers. And this one is at Lambeau on a Sunday night.
It's gonna be a horrible game, but I'll take Green Bay just because they're at home. I think it's gonna be an ugly game. Listen, I think Green Bay's taking a step back. I don't think what they did against
For
the Vikings
sure.
was a fluke. So
You
it's gonna be.
you knew when Aaron Rodgers dropped a dot to Watson on the opening drive that went right
Yes.
through his hands.
Yes.
It was not
Like, this is
the
gonna be a
same.
long year for me. Yeah.
Did you see the meme of Devontae Adams' phone and it said Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers now going? I'm taking Chicago.
You gonna take Chicago? Okay, all right.
I'm gonna take Chicago.
You going gutsy? All right.
I'm gonna roll the dice on that one. I'm taking
Okay.
Chicago. Here's a matchup that I think is gonna be phenomenal on Monday night: Minnesota at Philadelphia. That's gonna be a good game.
I'm gonna go with Minnesota. Justin Jefferson So you buying some more stock in him now, aren't you?
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah, I think
he killed me in fantasy football this week. I
woo,
was playing against him in a
that's a
different league.
bad boy right there. I'm gonna take Minnesota. I like their balance. I love them having Zadarius Smith in their defense
Yeah,
now with the Hunter across from
I
him.
love that
That
army
yeah,
crawl he
that
did after he
defense is
sacked.
nasty.
That was
Yeah, I'm a,
phenomenal.
yeah, that was I'm gonna go with
I,
Minnesota this
I'm
one.
gonna ride this Philly train until it burns me.
Wow. Wow. That's not what I thought you were gonna pick. Okay.
I'm gonna ride it, man. Like I may be all in on Jalen Hurts at a certain point this season if he
Okay.
keeps doing what he's doing, but I'm gonna take Philly. Just watching them on Sunday, like they're not a bad football team. Their
No.
defense needs to get something fixed, but also Minnesota's offensive line is not Detroit's offensive line. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Philly, and here we go: Detroit and Washington.
I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna
going
go
with
with
the
the
Lions.
Lions.
I've
Yeah.
got to go with them this week.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm
If you can't
I
beat
don't
Carson
trust
Wentz,
Carson Wentz. Yes,
yeah, come
yes,
on. If you
that's
can't beat
exactly
him,
it.
the train
That's
wreck that is Carson Wentz,
exactly
then I'm
yeah.
changing my record pick for
That's
real.
100% it. Eric, let's give the people hoorah and who cares. Go ahead and introduce it for us, and we will get to it.
All right. So again, hoorah, who cares? We're gonna give a quick second to prop up a hoorah football topic. You know, somebody deserves a little bit of love. They may not get as much recognition as they should. And a who cares for somebody that we need to just shut the hell up with talking about. Somebody that just gets too much prop, that is constantly in the press for whatever they don't deserve. So let's give a quick second to dissect that. My hoorah, I'm gonna take locally. I'm gonna give to my high school, my local high school team. Shout out to the North Farmington Raiders, who got their first high school victory this season against Troy. Won a very close murder, 9-0. Wasn't really a whole lot of dramatics in the game. But for me, when I played, I graduated in '08. We were terrible. Like we were 1-8 in my season, and we couldn't get no offense going, no flow. But they're really starting to pick things up with their football program, and I'm really excited for the coaching staff and the players to really submit themselves. So I'm gonna go with a hoorah for the North Farmington Raiders. Congratulations,
Ricky's got
fellas.
his own hoorah and who cares. Appalachian State put them in Division One already. Yes, thank you. Right,
I'm with it.
fantastic.
Okay, okay.
And Tom Brady, sweaty man is greater than just Ricky, man. Ricky, every week, anytime you comment, Ricky, you're such a good
Oh my
laugh,
god,
and I love
Ricky's
it,
the
man.
funniest man in the world, yo. Shout out to Ricky
Fantastic.
Sanders.
I love it. My hoorah is gonna seem odd, but Mel Tucker was asked about Jalen Reed, and the comment that he gave is, "He'll be ready when he's ready."
Ooh,
And I was like,
ooh.
"Okay, coach, right? Tuck coming."
Mhm,
Like, I'm not
mhm,
here for like a lot of the theatrics around Michigan State football, but I like that answer
mhm.
because people are trying to get an answer out of him, and he's like, "Listen, he'll be on the field when he's ready to be on the field. Yes, the injury is significant. I get it, but he'll be ready when he's ready."
Mhm.
So, props to you, Tuck.
I like
Good
Tuck, man.
job. Who you
I
got for
like
who
his
cares?
days. My who cares is a team that I'm sick of hearing. And what happened to them this weekend, they deserve it. My who cares goes to the New England Patriots. You got waxed by Miami. You came in with this structure of first saying, "Oh, we don't know who our offensive coordinator is going to be." Then you pick the dumbest person possible to do it. And now all of a sudden, your young quarterback, who's just a Pro Bowler, now is probably going to take a downslide of his career,
Oh,
learning under Matt
oh,
Rocket Scientist Patricia.
thank you. I was gonna say
Man,
name them. Go ahead and name them.
of course, he's always going to be mentioned in the downs for us, for sure. Listen, the only reason New England got this pass was because Bill
Oh,
Belichick has built this resume for himself.
yeah.
I can't believe they really went through with picking him as their offensive
Could
coordinator.
you imagine drafting a quarterback like Mac Jones, who, listen, he's got a lot to prove, right? But then being like, oh, by the way, your offensive coordinator is Matt Patricia.
Yes. And we're also going to take away your receivers. Like, your offensive line is limited. Your running backs ain't that great.
Listen,
Like,
that
man.
franchise was spoiled by having the greatest quarterback of all time because he made everybody around them better. Don't give me that stuff. He made everybody around them better.
And I never wanted to believe that, but it's starting to look that way right now.
Thank you.
I didn't want to give him
Thank you.
that prop, but it's not looking good for Belichick right now. It's
It's
not.
not. That was such a stupid thing for him to put Matt
Oh,
Patricia in charge of footballs. He shouldn't even be in charge of the equipment
so
at this point.
you're right, Ricky.
He
Sorry. Let me respect the process and sit up straight. Sorry, bro. You're right. My bad. Goodness
Here's my
gracious.
who cares.
Yep.
Nebraska lost to Georgia Southern and showed the door to Scott Frost.
Oh yeah.
Good, but I don't care because I'm sick of hearing about Scott Frost and him being the savior of Nebraska and their football program. No, Nebraska, you screwed up when you fired Bo Pelini because he wasn't winning enough when he won 9 games a year for you. You brought
Mhm.
in Scott Frost, who won 13 games at the University of Central Florida, who played absolutely nobody, declared themselves national championships, even though they weren't even in the national championship. And then he comes and loses you 21 games by a single score. You know who I don't care about? Scott Frost and what he's doing next. Who freaking cares? Get out of the Big Ten. Get away from Nebraska. They don't like you there anymore because you ruined their program. You are a terrible football coach. See you later.
Woo!
That's my who
Woo!
cares.
Letting it ring on him. Okay. So there
Yeah.
is somebody more annoying in the Big Ten than Coach Harbaugh.
Oh, it's Scott
Fantastic. Good to
Frost.
see. Good to
It's
see. Well, it was Scott
have
Frost.
you
Now it's
seen Scott Frost?
yes,
He's
yes,
like the
yes, I have.
poster boy for punchable faces. Like, come on.
It isn't quite a few in college football, but his when
There's
I saw, I'm
quite
like,
a
oh,
few. But
oh,
my
it's a
goodness.
very untrustworthy face. Yeah.
Come in, talk all this stuff, and you don't deliver. I can't
Show him
handle
the
it, man.
door.
So
That's it.
who freaking cares? But this is how
Good night.
desperate they were. If they had waited 3 more weeks, they would have saved $7.5 million. They wanted him out
Ooh,
that bad.
we don't even want, yeah.
His
We
buyout
don't
was
even care about the money.
$15 million for getting fired now. Had they waited till October, it would have been 7.5. But
That's
they didn't
tough.
want
Don't
any
even
more of
care.
Scott
Get
Frost.
this
You know
man out of
why?
here as quick as
Because
possible.
he didn't deliver on a promise. And you
Oh,
always under promise and over deliver. Never over promise and under deliver like
that's
Scott
my
Frost does.
exactly. That's hilarious. All them 7 million
Hoorah
out the
and who
window.
cares, man? Great job.
Good pick. I like yours. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is Beyond the Box. He is Eric Vincent. I am AJ Reilly. We will be back with you next Monday night at 7 o'clock, reacting to a Lions victory. I'm predicting it now over the Washington Commanders. And we'll talk all this other football stuff as well. So make sure you're here because we'll be here ready to talk. And we will see